What if I told you that the world is on the verge of a massive transformation? Not the kind you hear about on the news. Not just another shift in politics or economics. Something bigger. Something irreversible. Something that has been set in motion for centuries. And here's the real question. What if it was all predicted long ago? Hidden within the ancient texts of one of the most mysterious and controversial books in human history, the Book of Revelation. For thousands of years, people have debated its meaning. Some dismissed it as religious symbolism. Others saw it as a dire warning. But what if it was never meant to be a metaphor? What if the prophecies it contains are not only real but are unfolding right now? Wars, economic collapse, natural disasters, a growing system of global control that seems almost inevitable. Coincidence? Or are we witnessing the setup of something much bigger? Because according to the Book of Revelation, a time is coming when a powerful figure will rise. A leader unlike any other. One who will unite nations, reshape economies, and demand ultimate allegiance. The Antichrist. And when that happens, those who refuse to submit will face consequences beyond imagination. But here's where things get even more unsettling. What if resistance is already forming? What if, somewhere in the shadows of geopolitics and global power struggles, there are forces preparing to stand against this system? The question is, who will fight back? And more importantly, what happens next? Global signs of the end times: war, famine, economic collapse. We've seen all of this before. History is filled with stories of nations rising and falling, of societies reaching their peak only to crumble into dust. But why does it feel different this time? Because it is. In the past, civilizations fell due to war, disease, or political corruption. Rome, Babylon, the great empires of the past. They all had their moment of dominance before vanishing. But never before has the entire world been connected in a way that allows for total control. For the first time in history, we have the technology to monitor, track, and influence every human being on the planet. And that changes everything. Governments and corporations now have access to systems that can analyze our every move. Facial recognition, GPS tracking, social credit scores, tools once thought to be the stuff of dystopian fiction are now part of daily life. In some countries, entire populations are already under digital watch. Every transaction, every online search, every step outside your home, logged, monitored, evaluated. And it doesn't stop there. Imagine a world where physical money is gone. No more cash. No more anonymous transactions. Every financial exchange linked to one centralized system. Sound impossible? It's already happening. Governments are pushing for central bank digital currencies, which would allow them to monitor and control spending with the push of a button. Major tech companies are developing AI-driven financial algorithms that can predict and even influence consumer behavior. Social credit systems in some nations already reward or punish citizens based on their actions, their speech, and even their beliefs. If everything you buy, everything you own, and everything you earn is controlled by a single digital system, what happens if one day you're locked out? Now, let's talk about global instability. We've always had wars. We've always had disasters. But today, they seem to be piling up all at once. Wars and rumors of war. Regional conflicts threaten to spiral into global confrontations. The balance of power shifts and alliances grow fragile. Natural disasters are increasing in frequency and intensity. Wildfires, earthquakes, floods. Some scientists claim it's climate change. Others say it's just a cycle. But what if it's something more? Food and energy shortages. Supply chains breaking down. Prices skyrocketing. People struggling just to survive. Each of these crises creates fear, and fear makes people willing to accept solutions they never would have considered before. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are all these things really just happening by chance? Or is the world being shaped and prepared for something bigger? Something planned? Something foretold? And if that's true, then who or what is behind it? The Antichrist and his system. For centuries, people have feared the rise of a ruler so powerful, so deceptive, that he could take control of the entire world. They call him the Antichrist. a figure prophesied in the book of Revelation, a leader who will unite nations, promise peace, and then enslave humanity under his rule. The book of Revelation, chapter 13, describes him as a beast rising out of the sea, a figure who will command nations, perform miracles, and demand absolute loyalty. He will bring about a global system where no one can buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast, a mark placed either on the right hand or on the forehead. For centuries, people have debated what this means. Is it symbolic? A metaphor for something else? Or could this be an actual, physical mark, a technology, a system of control that is already being prepared? And most importantly, could it happen in our lifetime? If you think about history's most powerful leaders, emperors, dictators, even tech billionaires, they all followed the same formula: a world in crisis. People only accept extreme solutions when they are desperate. Economic collapse, war, natural disasters. These create the perfect opportunity for a new kind of leader to emerge. A charismatic figure. Someone who doesn't just demand power but seems to offer hope. A leader who is charming, intelligent, and speaks directly to people's fears and desires. A technological advantage. Unlike past rulers, this one would have access to global surveillance, artificial intelligence, digital finance systems, and the ability to monitor and control populations in ways never seen before. And then comes the final step, the moment when this leader isn't just respected, but worshipped. The mark of the beast, a system of absolute control? Imagine this, a world where physical money is gone. Every financial transaction happens digitally, through biometric scans, implanted chips, or even facial recognition. Sound like science fiction? It's not. Governments and financial institutions are already pushing for central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, that would eliminate cash and track every transaction. Some companies have already experimented with microchip implants that allow employees to make payments with the wave of a hand. Social credit systems in some parts of the world already determine what people can buy, where they can travel, and even who they can associate with. Now imagine a moment when one person, one global leader, controls this entire system. And then, the choice is given. Take the mark or be cut off. No job, no home, no access to food, water, medical care. Some will refuse, and they will be hunted. Modern parallels. Are we already seeing the setup? If a global leader like this were to emerge, how would we recognize him? Consider this. Global governments are already calling for a great reset, a restructuring of economies, laws, and even social norms. Mass surveillance is no longer a theory, it's a reality. Artificial intelligence is rapidly advancing, capable of tracking every person, predicting behaviors, and even controlling digital information. If the Antichrist were to rise today, he wouldn't need an army to take control. All he would need is the technology already in place. And maybe, just maybe, it's already happening. So the question is, will anyone resist? Who will stand against the Antichrist? So, if the world is heading toward a system of total control, is resistance even possible? Or is it already too late? The book of Revelation hints at opposition. While the Antichrist will hold immense power, certain nations, leaders, or even underground movements may refuse to submit. But who could stand against a ruler with absolute economic, political, and technological control? In the past, superpowers shaped history. The British Empire, the Roman Empire, the Soviet Union, the United States. Today, the world is shifting again. Could any nation resist the rise of a one-world system? The United States, founded on principles of individual freedom, America has long resisted globalist control. But would a future leader protect that freedom or surrender to a unified system? Russia. Historically opposed to Western influence, could Russia stand apart if a global government emerges? China. With its own tightly controlled system, would China accept an external ruler, or would it compete for dominance? The Middle East. Israel, surrounded by geopolitical tensions, plays a unique role in prophecy. Could it resist, or will it become the center of future conflicts? One thing is clear, the world is changing, and the balance of power is shifting faster than ever. History is filled with stories of resistance against overwhelming power. The early Christians defied the Roman Empire, refusing to worship the emperor, even when it cost them their lives. The underground church in Soviet Russia survived despite brutal persecution. World War II resistance movements fought against fascist regimes, often at great personal cost. What do they all have in common? They refused to comply. They refused to bow. But in the age of digital surveillance and economic control, could resistance even be possible? What if the Antichrist isn't just a leader? What if it's a system? Think about it. A global financial structure that controls who can buy and sell. A technological network that monitors every transaction, every word, every action. The Antichrist could be more than just a man. It could be a system of control that slowly takes over, one crisis at a time. And by the time people realize it, it might be too late. So, where does that leave us? Right now, the world is changing faster than ever before. Technology, economy, global governance, the way people live, work, and think. The question is no longer could it happen? The question is it already happening? The book of Revelation warns of a time when people will face a choice between freedom or control, between truth or deception, between allegiance or resistance. But here's the most chilling part. Most people won't even realize they've made a choice, because change doesn't happen overnight. It happens one step at a time. A new financial system that makes cash obsolete, a surveillance network that keeps you safe, a leader who promises unity in times of crisis. And then, before you know it, the system is complete. And the choice? It was made for you. So ask yourself this. Is all of this just random events? Just politics? Just economics? Or is it something bigger? Something planned? Something prophesied? And if it is, then what happens next? What does this mean for us? So here we are. We've seen the signs. We've traced the patterns. We've asked the questions. Now comes the hardest one of all. What does this mean for us? Can anyone escape the system? Let's be honest. Avoiding the system completely is nearly impossible. Technology is everywhere. Your phone, your bank account, your online presence. The world is already interconnected in ways most people don't even realize. Even now, people are slowly becoming dependent on a system they don't control. You need a digital ID to access services. You need a bank account to buy and sell. You need a smartphone just to function in society. Little by little, the walls close in. And when the day comes that this system demands absolute compliance, what will you do? For centuries, people have feared the prophecy of the mark of the beast. But there's another side to the story. Because the book of Revelation isn't just a warning, it's a roadmap. A roadmap that tells us that no system of control lasts forever. It tells us that truth will be revealed, that deception will be exposed, that even in the darkest moments, there is a way forward. But here's the real question. What if the choice has already been made? And not by you, not by politicians, not by governments, but by something far beyond human control. What if history isn't just unfolding, but following a script that was written long ago? And what if you are living in the chapter where everything changes? So now I ask you one final question. Are you ready for what comes next?